lucky is she? But somebody that was instrumental in the development of training hubs. So I'm sure that we're all really pleased to know that we've got people like Katie pushing them for primary care. But Katie is the Chief Training Hub Officer at the Cheshire and Merseyside Training Hub. Not just that, she also strategically leads 2 GP surgeries in St Helens, and Katie has worked in primary care since 2003. But your coaching journey began long before that, back in the 90s when Friends, I think, was just getting released. And then in this 10 talk, the power of coaching for primary care, Katie's going to explore how we can really transform conversations. So cameras off, microphones off. Don't forget, you can catch up online depending on where you're from. There'll be details in the chat of that. And we're just going to jump straight into it. So Katie, welcome to 10 Talks.
Thank you, Carla. What an honour.
Absolutely, badge and everything. So tell us a little bit about today. What is coaching?
Simply put, coaching is the process of asking the right questions to individuals or teams to help them find their own solutions, set their own goals, and ideally break down how they want to achieve those goals in sort of bite-sized chunks.
Yeah, so a part of that would be then who leads that coaching. So who can actually coach?
Absolutely anybody can coach. So absolutely anybody. So you'll find some people have quite a natural skill when it comes to coaching, and you can come across those people. But ultimately, with the right guidance, anybody can coach. We've tried to establish a coaching culture across Cheshire Merseyside Training Hub. So we encourage all of our team members to get involved in some way, shape, or form in having coaching conversations.
Yeah. And what about in terms of like qualifications? Do you think that's necessary?
Depends on which level that you're wanting to coach. But if you're just wanting to explore coaching conversations, say with your team, or even with your family, it's actually a really powerful way to parent as well. You know, particularly if you've got teenagers who don't like to be told what to do. So yeah, you can have a bank. Many, none of which I'll go into. I'm not giving all my tips and tricks away. But yeah, you'll find that you can have a bank of coaching conversations that you'll regularly trot out in certain scenarios.
Yeah, keep that kind of like dictionary of coaching handy in your mind.
Yeah. But if you're a professional coach, you would have to have a qualification.
Yeah, and they can vary, can't they? Like level 3, level 5, and level 7.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no hard or fast rules around that.
Yeah. So obviously you've been in general practice for quite some time.
2,000 years.
2,000 years. 2003 years. How have you seen that coaching support that better culture in primary care? What has been your experience of it?
I mean, it's pretty vast, and I've only got probably 7 minutes left of my 10 minutes. So I think for me, if I put my practice manager hat on, I think it's the conversations I would have with patients, particularly unhappy patients. So having open-ended conversations, the kind of conversations where you really demonstrate active listening and compassion. It's really, really hard for a patient or a service user of any kind to remain disgruntled in that scenario. And whilst I haven't always been able to give the patient exactly what they wanted in terms of a resolution, what we have always done is co-design what that resolution looks like, because I've asked the question, you know, what is it that you need to go away feeling happier about this interaction today? People always leave that conversation feeling heard, not feeling talked over. And I found that my coaching skills most definitely facilitate that. I think there are probably some other examples. So I find managing teams, so a coaching style is really valuable. So I promote autonomy. So I'm over quite a lot of teams. So micromanaging, A, isn't my style, but B, physically isn't possible. for me to do that. So I find that particularly individuals will benefit from a conversation about, you tell me what you feel has gone wrong, and then you explain to me what you feel could have gone better. A really good tool to do that, if somebody wasn't really interested in exploring coaching on an in-depth level, would be Gibbs reflective cycle. It's not formally a coaching tool, but actually it's really, really valuable for sitting with your team member, going through what's happening, and then getting them to find their own way forward by way of a solution.
That's interesting. I mean, I can imagine that when you ask those questions, there needs to be some thought then as to, because it could catch people off guard, that, you know, especially patients not expecting you to ask them, well, what do you think, you know, are you going to go away happy? What would that look like? Does that take a lot more
Yeah,
time?
it
Do you think
does. And I'm not sure disarming is my intention, but it definitely changes the direction of that conversation. And I think that they're probably used to having conversations, maybe at reception or maybe in other practices, where it's been a matter of, you want this, but we can't give you that because of X, Y, and Z. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes the outcome is that. Because there's only so much we can do, but we do it in such a way that, you know, people feel heard, and they feel that in terms of a solution, it's not something that's just been told to them, it's something that they've been involved in.
they're part of that conversation? So you've mentioned the reflective model there for Gibbs. What else would you say is the most basic coaching model that could transform a conversation?
So if I was to choose a basic model to follow, I would say Tigro is probably the most basic, and with good reason. It's actually, I think it's the best. I think it's the best model, and it's based on, it's an acronym. T stands for topic. Oh, you're testing me now. T stands for topic, what we're talking about today. G stands for goals, you know, what do you actually want to achieve? The R stands for reality. And then when we look at reality, it's like, what's going on now? Tell me what now looks like. That's where all the exciting conversation happens, where you look at your options and you're okay, well, if that's not what you like, you tell me, you know, what are all the things that you could do instead of that?
Yeah.
And then W is for will. I like to use it as what. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do first? What is more important to you? When do you want to do it by? But yeah, it's a really, really simple model. If you didn't want to explore a model, I would just explore coaching conversations, use AI to support you if you're about to have maybe a difficult conversation with somebody in your family, at work. Jump onto an AI tool and say, what would be some powerful coaching conversations to help me with this particular issue? And there are some really, really excellent suggestions.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. You know,
Mm.
it's great for loads of things, especially inspiration. I always think it's a good starting point anywhere, isn't it?
I'm
So you know,
75% AI. I'm not actually here right now.
but you've mentioned that it could be used when working with patients, but I suppose that might be a little bit more of a heated conversation. Would you still take that approach, that T-grow approach with patients?
No, no. So I'm not clinical. So my time with patients is not in a clinical capacity ever. So and even then I wouldn't go necessarily down a T-grow route. It'd be a much more condensed version. I think for clinical members of my team who use coaching, coaching is already very commonly used in consultations. It's considered best practice. The thing is with coaching, you're really supposed to, I don't know about, I think ask permission is a little bit formal, but you've got to make sure it's the right scenario. Not
Yeah.
everybody wants to be coached. Sometimes you need to give someone a straight answer. So it really does depend on the situation at hand. I can still remember clear as day when patients would come out to the reception and they'd say to me, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. The first thing he said to me was like, what's wrong today, and what would you like me to do about it? Well, that's his job. So I used to field quite a lot of complaints, you know, that people came out thinking that, you know, the doctors didn't know what they were talking about, whereas in actual fact they were trying to empower that decision making and make it a bit more of a two-way street.
So there's more than just asking those questions, then it's about understanding what's going to happen to you now. I'm going to ask you
Yeah,
these questions, and do I
yeah,
have your
yeah.
permission?
You've really got to
So
get the situation right if you're going to coach, because it sometimes, particularly if you're coaching a coach. So as I've already mentioned, across Cheshire Merseyside Training Hub, we've encouraged everyone to be a coach, and it's almost like you're giving your superpower away. So when something happens and you sit down with somebody and you say, well, what do you think could have been done differently? Straight away, they're looking at you and going, stop coaching me. I know what you're
absolutely.
doing.
That happens quite a lot in the training hub, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
But I love that approach. It gives me more autonomy. I think somebody being
yeah.
coached gets me to think about it. So, what's the one thing that we should take away from today then? Should we remember?
I think it's the gift that keeps on giving. It coaching promotes lasting change, not just for yourself but for individuals. So, what does the saying go like? Give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, feed him for forever. And I think I am a coach, I do deliver coaching, but I also receive coaching as well. And I think that the tools that it's given me are the ability to work through an issue, take different perspectives, consider different options. So you're actually giving a gift, I think, when you have coaching conversations with people, because you're giving them that skill to realize their own potential and realize their own solutions.
Well, you've sold me, and that's 10 minutes in, Katie. We're going to go to some questions. I've got one first, though. So, if you're having difficult conversations, as you say, and you've never used coaching before, do you